Hello, welcome to the session. Today we'll be discussing about one of the important automation tool that is available in Salesforce, which is Salesforce triggers. What exactly the triggers are? Trigger is a piece of code that runs automatically before or after any DML operation, like before inserting a record or after inserting a record. Similarly, update, delete, and undelete. Triggers help us enforce complex automation and data integrity. Why and when we use triggers? To perform a logic that any point and click tool can't be achieved inside Salesforce, then we will be choosing triggers. Apart from that, to perform any multi-record automation, to maintain cross-object consistency, to enforce strict validation rules, and if you want to perform any logic before the record getting saved or after the record getting saved, in all those cases, we will be choosing triggers. Trigger versus flow, when to choose. We should choose trigger only when a certain use case can't be achieved using point and click tools. For example, the undelete logic. This undelete operation is not available inside any point and click tool inside Salesforce. In those cases, we will be choosing triggers only. And if you want to perform complex multi-object logic, and if you want to perform any high value operation, for all those cases, we should be choosing triggers. We'll choose flows only when we want to perform any simple and friendly automation. And if you want to perform any action, if that action is already available inside flow, then we should directly choose flow itself. For example, this is a Salesforce flow inside Salesforce, and these are all the actions that we have available inside the flows, like sending an email, post to chatter. Like this, we do have all the actions that are available. All of these are standard actions. For this, we don't need to write again any custom implementation. In these cases, we should directly go for flows itself. And in flows, these are the options that we have, where this is the record trigger flow, and we are going to perform an action on the account object. In this account object, we have options for creating a record or updating a record or deleting a record. But there is no undelete operation available here. In these cases, when we have any use case where we want to perform action after doing an undelete, in those cases, we need to choose triggers only. Types and triggers. There are mainly two types in triggers. One is before triggers, another one is after triggers. Again, in the before triggers, we have three options available: before insert, before update, and before delete. So before triggers, we write mainly when we want to perform any action before saving the record to the Salesforce. For example, if you want to throw an error based on user input data, if user has entered any incorrect value, and if you if you want to find that out, if whether it is incorrect or not, and throw an error to user, in those cases, we'll be choosing before triggers. And after triggers, we have four operations available: after insert, after update, after delete, after undelete. So the thumb rule before by choosing between before and after triggers is this one. If the operation that we want to perform is on the same record, then we should choose before triggers. If not, for any other use case, we directly go for after triggers. So this after triggers, for example, if I want to create an account and automatically associate that account to new contact, in those cases, we should be choosing after triggers. We will discuss this further. These are some of the context variables available in triggers. While writing the triggers, we need to take help of all these context variables, where each one having separate purpose, which we will discuss while writing the trigger. This is a execution order in Salesforce. If you see the highlighted one, when the execution gets started, this is the flow that Salesforce is going to run. First, the code inside the before trigger is going to be executed, and then the record will be saved to the database, and then after triggers will run the code inside it, and then finally the records will get saved or committed into the database. These are the this is the flow for triggers, and this is a trigger syntax. Like, trigger is a keyword, trigger keyword, and trigger name that we can choose on S object. The S object we can choose like account, contact, and here in the brackets we need to mention whether it is a before insert or after insert. So let's look at a small example. So the use case is set account description with value if blank. So while entering a record, uh, yeah. So this is the use case. So this is the input that we would like to give, and this is how I want as an output in the Salesforce. In the input, I'm going to give only the test account. I'm going to leave that account description as blank. So if I leave it as blank, I have to populate with some value like this. So for this use case, we want to write trigger. Automatically, this value should be populated once after the Salesforce record gets created. Let's see how we can do this. From developer console, we need to come here and we'll be writing new text trigger and naming it as ACCT trigger, and I'm going to write on account. If you see, automatically a syntax has been generated. Trigger ACCT trigger on account as object, and this is before insert. We can, by default, it has given us before insert. If you want to change it, you can change it. Now I need only before insert only. Here I'm going to write the logic. If trigger is before and trigger is insert. In this case, I want to perform an action. I'm going to check if this particular account description is equal to null. And I'm going to populate some value. No description given by user. Yeah. So what exactly we have written is the Salesforce inside this. First, this is the trigger keyword that we need to use while writing the keyword, while writing the trigger. And ACCT trigger is the name of the trigger that we have given on the subject that we need to write the trigger upon. And before insert is the operation that we choose. Why we chose before insert is because the only thumb rule, as I said, if the operation is on the same record, I want to perform the action, then we'll be choosing before triggers. That's why I have chosen before insert. Before the record getting insert into the Salesforce, I want to populate this value inside the description if this is null. And then here, these are the context variable. These context variables is going to check the context, whether this scenario is before insert or not. It will just give us a confirmation. This is a before insert scenario. If trigger is before is true and trigger is insert is true, then it will come inside. For account ACC trigger.new, sorry. Yeah, in this context, the trigger will come inside, and for and here I have written trigger.new. This trigger.new is nothing but a list. So whatever the value that we are going to enter into the Salesforce, all those values will be stored here. If we are going to insert one record, it is going to store one record. This trigger.new is a list. It is going to store all the records. If it is one record, it will be one record. If it is a 10 records, it will be 10 records, 100 records, 1000 records, million records. All records will come and store here. So what we are going to do is, for each account, we are going to check for each account, if description is equal to null, then we are going to assign some value to the description. So this is how it it should work. Now we will see how this is going to work. I am going to create one account inside Salesforce. This is a test account, only the name I have given. In the description, I haven't given anything. I left it as a blank. I'm going to save. So now I'm expecting in the description, it should automatically show the value which I have given. No description given by user. Let's see. So the test account has been created, and in the details section, you see in the description, no description given by user. This has been populated automatically. So I have given the input just the account name, but in the Salesforce, this is how it has populated. All this got possible by trigger. And one more example we have, use cases whenever an account record gets created, automatically create a contact associated to it with the same account name. So the use case will go like this. I would like to give the input to the account record like this, account name and account description. I'm not going to give anything. Once I give, Salesforce is going to create one record like this with the account ID. It is going to generate, then the account name, what I have given. In the account description, no description is given by user. This will come because we have written the before incentive. And then once after this record gets created, what I want is in the contact as object also, I want one record to be created with the same name. Whatever the account name is there, with the same name, I want to create one particular contact. And this one, I want to link it with the same account. So to link it with the same account, I want to use this account ID. This account ID, I have to use it here in the contact as object. So for this use case, we need to choose whether it is a before insert or after insert. Here, I'm going to choose after insert. The reason why we are choosing after insert is only when I want the account ID to be linked with the contact. Only when the record is saved into the database, Salesforce is going to generate the account ID. Once this ID gets generated, then only I'm going to take that ID and place it here so that this account and contact will both get linked. Let's see how we can implement this using by writing trigger. So I'm going to modify the existing trigger. I'm going to add one more event, which is after insert. The after insert is after is insert. So here we need to again traverse through each account. Trigger.new. For each account, I'm going to create same one contact with the same name. So for this one, c dot last name equal to acc dot name. Similarly for account ID dot ID. So here, what we are doing is we are going to check whether this condition is after insert or not. This becomes true and this becomes true. Once after both of them are true, the loop will come inside. Inside for each account, this for loop says for each new account, we are going to create one new contact. And this contact, we are going to assign a name and ID. For this contact, account ID is a field available. For this ID, I'm assigning the newly created account ID. So, and then we can insert this particular contact. So, but writing insert statement inside for loop is not a best practice while writing triggers. So what I'm going to do is list of contacts equal to this is the list I have created, and using this list I'm going to make a bulk operation. List of contacts add C, and then I'm going to check if list of contact size is greater than 0, then only I'm going to make the insert. Yeah. Uh, so just want to reiterate that firstly it is going to check inside this if condition. This condition will get satisfied, then it will come inside. We have created one list of contacts. In this list we are going to maintain all the contacts that needs to be inserted. So we are going to iterate through each account. For each newly created account, we are going to create one contact with the same name, the same account name. And finally, we are going to add all the newly new contacts into one particular list. Finally, we are going to check whether this list of size is greater than 0 or not. If yes, then we are going to make the insertion for all the contacts. Let's see how this is going to work inside Salesforce. Now I'm going to create one more account. The moment I create new account, it should automatically create one contact and it should get associated to this particular account. Apart from this value, I'm not going to give any value. Let's see how it goes. Save. Yeah, this test account contact has been created. Inside this, that in the related list, you'll see one contact got created. This contact is the one that we have written trigger for, which says whenever this account gets created, automatically create one more related contact with the same account name. So this has been created. So this is how trigger has helped us in achieving the use case. Yeah, these are some of the best practices while writing the triggers. One trigger per object. For example, here for all the operations, I have chosen only one trigger for this particular account object. In this particular account object only, we can going forward, we can implement before update, before delete, after delete, likewise. And no logic inside trigger, use handler instead of that. We can create one apex class and take help of that apex class as a handler. We will push all the logics inside the handler class. Rest of them we can handle inside trigger itself. Bulkifying everything instead of making instead of making one record as an insert, we need to combine all the records as a list and make bulk insert or bulk operation. That's how I have done in the Last trigger also. I have added all the contacts into this list and I made a bulk insertion of this list. No SQL or DML inside loops. Use maps and sets. Avoid recursion. Write positive, negative, and bulk unit test. Follow consistent naming pattern. And this is a trigger handler pattern. As I explained earlier, we can separate out all the logics that we are writing inside the trigger into Apex class, and so that we can take help of that Apex class in any trigger we want, not only on the account or contact or opportunity object. For all these, we can use only one Apex class as a handler. That is one of the best practice. This helps us improve readability, reusability, and testing. These are some of the real world scenarios like auto assign honor rules, standardized formatting, data cleanup, normalization, etc. Yeah, as a summary, triggers are a powerful automation tools that are available inside Salesforce. If you can't achieve any use case using any point and click tools, then trigger will solve our problem. Thank you.